Joshua Bell received his first violin when he was 5 years old. By the age of 12, he was studying with renowned musician and concertmaster Joseph Gingold. 2 years later, he earned national prominence after winning the 17 magazine General Motors Talent Competition. That win led to his 1982 debut with the Philadelphia Orchestra, also his first Carnegie Hall recital and an exclusive recording contract. Recently, he's broadened his scope to include other musical forms, collaborating with Edgar Meyer on the CD Short Trip Home, which fuses classical music and bluegrass. He also performed the music for the soundtrack of the film The Red Violin. It won an Oscar for Best Original Score. I am pleased to have him with violin on this program. Welcome.
Thank you.
Great to have you here.
Thanks.
How do you characterize yourself as a musician?
Oh, boy.
When you first heard that, characterize, you thought, as a musician.
Boy, that's a difficult question. You know, playing classical music, you really kind of you become different things when you play different pieces of music. You know, and it's to categorize myself. Basically, I would hope actually when I perform that the person who's watching doesn't go away even thinking about me at all. You know, I'd rather them, the real stars of the show when I play are the Beethoven, Schubert, Mozart, or Corleone, or whoever I'm playing. And so the greatest thing I think I could give is if I make the pieces be as great as they are. And so actually one shouldn't even be aware of me in a sense. So it's hard to, I wouldn't want to begin to characterize myself.
Okay, I understand. How many instruments do you play?
Unfortunately, I only play one. I play the violin, and I play a little piano, but I never really did much with it. The violin is ever challenging, and so I've never been a violist or anything else. I just play the violin. It's like an extension of myself, and I can't imagine playing anything else.
This CD that we mentioned in the Fusion, how did that come about?
Well, it came about very naturally. It wasn't, you know, you hear about these so-called crossover projects that you think they're concocted in the boardroom of some record company, and they often don't work because of that. I think people from different worlds thrown together, but this was very natural. I knew Edgar Meyer, this incredible bass player who has his feet very solidly in the classical world and the bluegrass and jazz and many things. And we've known each other since school, Indiana University. We studied together, and for years we've been wanting to do something. So we found ourselves on the Sony label together, and we said, let's do it now. And so he brought together Mike Marshall and Sam Bush from the bluegrass world, and he wrote all the music for us. And it was a very natural thing. It was a kind of a fusion, and it didn't feel like a huge departure for me.
Anything about your musical taste that would surprise us? I mean, have you become addicted to bluegrass?
Well, you know, that's the fact that I played bluegrass surprised some people, because some people think of bluegrass erroneously, I think, as being some sort of hillbilly music and not sophisticated. So the players I played with, Sam Bush, Mike Marshall, and Edgar Meyer, they're some of the most sophisticated musicians I've ever played with. So I think it's sophisticated in different ways, rhythmically and harmonically in different ways. So that, I think, surprised some people. I like some rock music, too. I mean, I grew up, Genesis I was a big fan of Peter Gabriel and Phil Collins in years, Genesis, and my tastes are broad, and classical music itself is so broad.
Let me mention a couple of things here. One, Short Trip Home.
Short Trip Home
is the
fusion.
Yeah, the fusion thing with Meyer, Sam Bush, and Mike Marshall, and Red Violin, which you won an Oscar for Best Original Composition.
I didn't win the Oscar. I didn't compose it. The John Corleone, the composer, won the Oscar. I played the music for the album, so we were very excited that he won this award. It's a beautiful movie. So
what's the movie about?
It's about a violin. It follows a violin through several vignettes, and it follows the history of kind of the life of the violin. So in a sense, this violin, this fictitious violin, is the main character in a way. And
would you play
the voice.
Would you play us out in something?
I kind of think I'm going to play.
You're not going to do that?
I'll show you my violin. It's a.
Why would you play? I mean.
Well, because.
Because you.
I do play. It's not like Milli Vanilli or something. I mean,
oh, come on, prove it.
But I don't think I want to prove it. Right
no Milli Vanilli. That's a Stradivarius, isn't it?
This is a Stradivarius. Yeah, you can tell. It's.
How can you tell? I just knew.
There are people that can spot which year it was made from
is that
across
right?
the room. Yeah, it's.
Oh, they
it's,
can?
Yeah,
Across the room?
Yeah, some a good expert.
So what year
would
is
know.
that?
This was made in 1732.
That's a good year.
Which is a
for
good year.
Stradivarius.
He was actually almost 90 years old when he made it. It's the end of his life. But
why is Stradivarius so special?
Nobody knows what. Certainly nobody knows how to recreate them. They're special to me.
Would you trust me to hold it?
Sure. They're
You silly man.
They're special.
It's so light. Violins are light.
They're lighter than you'd expect.
Yeah.
The sound of a Stradivarius. It's like the quality of sound and the projection in a great hall. There's so many levels to the sound. It's like a fine wine. I think once you get to know wines, you realize the depth. And same with sound and they just can't make them. So there's so few of them that
I'm doing this very carefully.
That's fine. It's insured, and I'm sure you're insured. Sometimes
true.
I wish it were somebody stole it so I could just get the money from it.
Have you ever lost it?
No, I'm kidding.
I
haven't.
You've never lost it?
I haven't lost it.
Yo-Yo Ma has lost his cello several times. And it's worth $2 or $3 million.
Yeah, he left it in the back of a cab.
I was at that concert.
I could use the publicity.
I
might do that myself.
You're doing just fine on your own.
I'm kidding. No, it's with me all the time. It's like my baby.
I want to play it like a guitar.
It's a beautiful thing, and I'm
incredibly
lucky to have it.
Who had it before you?
It's been played.
Who's played this?
It's documented back to apparently Paganini.
Paganini played this violin?
On that instrument.
And you won't play it for me, and Paganini played it? Paganini would have played it for me.
He probably would have.
Let me get this back
apparently, Joachim, who is the friend of Johannes Brahms. Brahms wrote his violin.
Oh, we did hear a little sound there, didn't we?
There we go. Joachim saved this violin from a fire once. It was the house was burning down. He said, "We got to save the violin. Forget about the people. We got to get the violin out of there." So it's got its own amazing history, and so that's my
congratulations and all.
Well, thank you.
Joshua Bell. Thank you for joining us.